Hey everybody, this is Peter 24/7 from Project Ghost with today's WarDragons diary, or at least my diary. So I started this a few days ago, going good so far. I'd like to thank everybody who posted comments on my last video. I would like to answer the question that was posted in there. And moving forward, if anyone has any questions, comments, or topics they would like me to talk about in these videos, just put it in the notes in the comments and I'll bring it up in the next call. So I try to keep these videos around 15 minutes long so they're not too long. And I'm going to try to cover the question that was in the comments yesterday. So the question that was in the comments was, a lot of players on my team are asking me, how do I get glory for my trapper or taunter, or what's the most effective way? So I do actually have a video tutorial that I made a while back about effective glory hunting, what you should be looking for, but I'm going to cover this, and I'm actually going to put the link to that video into the description of this video. So please check that out. And if you have any further questions, feel free to get a hold of me. So I'm going to open up Atlas and I'm actually going to run through this. When you're going through with your defensive Primarchs, that's the Trapper and the Taunter, it's probably the most difficult to get glory for, because of the simple fact that the attack power of these Primarchs are very low. So I'm actually going to open up my Primarch tree. So we have the Trapper and the Taunter, the Destroyer and the Sieger. So the Sieger, if you look at it, the attack power is very high. The Destroyer, it's balanced, and then it starts to go down from here, where the attack power of the Taunter is lower, the defense power is higher, and then the attack power of the Trapper is very low, and the defense power is very high. So you're very restricted to what Primarchs you can hit with these two types of Primarchs. Not to mention, depending on where you're hitting, it might be worse. So first of all, where are we going to hit? Ideally, your Trapper and your Taunter, the best glory you'll get is on your castle, because you're able to attack with them in some situations. So when you're on your castle, for every 1 fort level of infrastructure you have on your castle, it adds 20 to these numbers. You also have the Primarch seasonal boosts, which you can get, which I recommend you get at the beginning of each season, and it'll shoot these numbers up. So you can have a Trapper, which typically can only attack Siegers. In some circumstances, you may be able to attack Destroyer or a Taunter with these Trappers. And the same with the Taunter. So depending on the level of your Taunter or Trapper, and depending on what castle you're on, if you own it, targets might vary. Now, when you're looking at, it gets easier the higher level your Trappers and your Taunters get, because the attack power raises, not to mention the defense power raises. So my Trapper, for example, is maxed. So let's actually look at my Trapper. So if you look at the Primarch tech tree, my Trapper is normally 730 defense. Now I have the Primarch boost, and right now it is parked on one of my level 4 castles. So if I click on this Primarch, you can actually see that my attack power is 361 and the defense power is 1093. So if you have a Destroyer attacking my Trapper, even if they get 5 flames, it's actually not going to be a bad ratio for me. It's going to give me, we'll probably have close to the same loss of troops, and I'll have decent glory. Not the best glory, because they are still 5 flaming me, but it'll give me decent glory. But for those of us who don't have the maxed Primarchs, what's the best way to get it. So it's always, a lot of people will actually start to either do guard swaps or glory swaps. That's one way, a very common way that people do it. Even if you're not doing, interesting. So even if we are not doing a guard swap, that doesn't mean you'll never hit guard. Now, when you're hitting guard, if you're hitting a level 2 or even a level 3 castle, depending on the size of your taunter, I actually recommend that players use taunters when doing those hits on the guard. And the reason is because the glory you get has two deciding factors for it. I guess this guy must be enfeebled. So there's two deciding factors that decide your glory. So number one, what are the stats? So their attack power, it's how many troops you kill and how many of your troops are killed. So let's actually open up my tab. I was helping out someone a little earlier, a smaller team. So if you actually look at my ledger, if you look at this, the glory payouts for me were bad on this. I was actually helping a smaller team against a raid that was happening on them. So it wasn't 100% glory. It was actually only 50% glory. So basically, the numbers you want to be looking at are the troops killed versus the troops lost. So you can never get more glory than 50% more of the troops you lost. So if you look at the top one up here, it's 614. The maximum amount of glory that I could have gotten from this battle is 307 plus 617, so 150% of this is 921. So the most glory that I could have gotten from this battle is 921 glory. Now, this is me 5-flaming the target. I got 5 flames. My attack power was equal to his defense power. And it was, I believe when I did this battle, it was 60% glory for me on this level 549 or something like that. I'd have to look it up. But it was giving me 60% glory. That's why I'm only getting 516. But I do have the revives as well. So the best way to look at it is you have to lose troops. So the lower your attack is, ideally you'll have about 100 less attack power than they have defense power, and then you'll get 5 flames. That way you're still losing troops so that it'll give you the glory. The maximum amount of glory that you can get is around 11.2. So 11,500, I believe the cap is. But let's actually go out and try to find a target. So I'm going to start by moving myself closer here to some neutral zone. And we're going to look at the Primarch tool. So I'm going to be using my taunter looking for targets. So if I click here, and it'll actually let me filter the targets that I want to hit. So I'm going to be wanting to look for taunters, siegers. There we go. Yeah. So I'll look for taunters, destroyers, and siegers. So I'm going to take off the silver 2. I'm actually only going to look for bronze and silver 1. That way the defense is lower. Now I know that for my glory, I need the bigger players to hit. So I'm going to put 500 to 600. So I'm actually going to filter this even further by glory potential. and I'm going to go around and look for somebody that I can hit. So if I look here, you see that level 5 taunter. It's affliction. This is one possibility of a target I could hit. I want to be looking for someone who's actually, oh, there we go, La Finessi. So if we actually look at these, they're actually lower amounts on their Primarchs. So let's actually bring my taunt over here, and I'm actually going to open the Primarch tab on the castle to see what I can hit. So I'm going to open that up, and I know that my Primarch's attack power on the castle is going to be 356. So I'm going to be looking for a target that has similar or equal to that number. So I'm looking at the number on the far right beside the shield, and I do see this level 555 Sieger, where his attack is 361. I see a lot of Siegers that are close to that. So I'm going to be going into this castle, and I think I'm going to be hitting that guy. We'll see how I do. Looking at the taunters here, 4,800 is the most. So I've actually have to add some troops here if I want to hit over the taunters that they have at that castle. So this is a very important thing. When you look at the castle, you have to make sure that you have more troops on your Primarch than the taunter, the biggest taunter there, or you'll be forced to hit that taunter. And if you look at that taunter's defense power, it's 868, so he would completely wreck my taunter regardless. So I added the troops to my Primarch. I know what I want to hit, so I'm actually going to fly to this castle. They're probably going to enfeeble me and kill me before I can get anything off. And while my Primarch is going there, I'm going to click on the target I want to hit, hopefully before they trap me, and let's fly it. And I'll invite, just in case, because I have a feeling, oh, I wasn't defended, lucky me. So I'm going to go through, and once again, I matched my attack power to the defense power that they have. This is a lot easier with a taunter than it is for a trapper. I've always told everybody the best way to get glory is to be defending your castles. You have the Primarch boosts, you have the fort boost complementing the stats of your Primarchs, and it's usually easier to manipulate. I'm actually not doing very well on this. Let's blame my iPad again. So it's easier for you to manipulate who you can or cannot hit. But Atlas doesn't sleep. And I understand that everyone's in a different time zone, and it gets very difficult to make sure you're on for when there's a massive raid. Because those big raids are where you're going to be getting, 1,000 or 2,000 or even more of those Atlas badge chests. So being available is the most important part of it. So I just got through this run. I 5-flamed it, and there you go. So I lost 2,000 troops. I killed 4,000, and I gained 3,000 glory. So once again, the glory that you get caps at the amount that you lose from your Primarch. So the most amount of glory you can get is 50% more than you lose. I lost 2,000. The maximum amount of glory I can get is 3,000. So that was a good payoff for my taunter. And of course they flew me at the same time. Let's look at that ratio. So when I flew his base, I did 5 flames, so I got the full glory. Now, if you look at it, when he attacked me, I lost 2,800, and I only got 886. So this is me losing the battle, them doing the 5 flames, and me losing more troops than they do. Not to mention their attack is a lot bigger than my defense. So this is one thing you want to make sure that you're watching. When you go into poke at castles, assume that they're going to be enfeebling and hitting you back. A good practice is to watch them enfeeble you, and once they enfeeble you, that's when you want to be going back. It'll give you a 10-minute window where they won't be able to enfeeble you, and also maybe plan raids. So don't go alone. It's harder. You're less likely to get defended bases when you're going in a raid with multiple people. So go in groups, find your targets, find people of similar size. Don't hit teams that are too much bigger than you. I understand that it may be a little difficult for some people to get glory at their level, but if you hit big targets, trust me when I say those big targets have no problem retaliating on smaller teams. So don't pick off more than you can chew. Don't be the monkey with the stick going to poke a lion. Stay to targets relatively your size. I would even say within 50 ranks or so of yourself. Don't go too high, don't go too low. Going too low can also create issues because, you know, we all know that Atlas is a political world and everybody has friends somewhere. So just because you're bigger than the person you're hitting doesn't mean you're bigger than the friends that they have. So if people are of equal size, you know, back and forth, healthy back and forths, it's good for the game. But you have some people who consistently hit down and they put a lot of pressure on these teams and they're just opportunistic. So try to stick around your size. Don't hit too low and don't bite off more than you can chew. So I hope this helped. I hope I didn't ramble too much, but making yourself available, defending on your castles is probably the best way to get glory. But when you're going out and attacking, it's easier to find targets. Sometimes you'll have to wait out the blockades to get behind the castle to get to your target. But now with the shortened blockades, it's not that difficult of a thing to do. If you ever have an opportunity to hit guard on a vulnerable castle, bring your taunter. Not a level 4, not a level 5, but a level 2 or level 3. A taunter is more than enough and you'll get decent glory depending on the level of your taunter. So I hope this helps. And once again, in the description, I've posted the link to the effective glory hunting tutorial. So check that out. Leave comments if you have any further questions. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. See you later.